I ended up writing in my journal, I'm going to invent a product and sell it to millions of people that will make them feel good. And then I asked the universe for an idea, and I was very specific.
You have to embrace not knowing. A lot of times when we don't know something, especially, most people in society, we end up being afraid of what we don't know, or we take that as a negative. It can hold us back. Whereas if you let what you don't know become your greatest asset, you are bound to do things very differently.
There was a moment when I was selling fax machines door to door and I was constantly being escorted out of buildings, or sometimes people would rip up my business card in my face, which was a typical occurrence. And one day I pulled off the side of the road and I literally thought, I'm in the wrong movie. Like, this is not my life. Cut, call the director, call the producer. How did this happen? This is not supposed to be my life. I went home that day and wrote in my apartment in my notebook what my strengths were. And the only thing basically in the strength column that I was sure about was sales. And I said, okay, and what can I do with that? And I ended up writing, I want to invent a product that I can sell to millions of people that will make them feel better. And it was 2 years later that I cut the feet out of control top pantyhose to wear white pants to a party.
Spanx started way before I cut the feet out of my pantyhose. That's the soundbite in the press that everybody's talked about for almost 20 years. But it actually started fundamentally on when I was 16. I worked on mindset for myself, and I'm such a believer in mindset is almost everything. And it just happened to be a set of circumstances. I was riding my bike with one of my best friends at 16, and she was run over by a car and killed in front of me. And then a few months later, my dad left home and my parents separated and ultimately got divorced. And when my dad moved out, he came into my bedroom and he handed me a cassette tape series called How to Be a No Limit Person by Wayne Dyer. And he said, sweetie, I wish I discovered this when I was your age instead of the age of 40. And then he moved out. And so I started listening to this How to Be a No Limit Person, which was talking about visualization, law of attraction, not caring about what other people think about you, the fear, not being consumed by the fear of failure. And the clouds parted for me, and I thought, I've spent a lot of time being taught what to think, but no one's really teaching me how to think. And at 16, that was so incredibly important. So in this digital platform, it's kind of passing on a lot of these insights that deal with mindset that I think is the real reason that Spanx exists.
That failure is nothing more than life's way of nudging you and letting you know that you're not on the right path. So here I am because of that. And the second thing is visualization. I visualized this for myself. When I was selling copiers door to door, I had a very clear vision of what my life was going to be like. And I encourage everyone to do it. Take a snap photo of what success looks like for you. How many employees do you have? How much are you making? Where do you live? Are you sitting at a table with world leaders? Are you standing on a stage in New York City giving a speech? And hold on to that snapshot, and you will subconsciously start to make decisions that get you there. And so my snap photo for myself when I was going door to door to sell copiers was to be self-employed, invent a product that I could sell to lots of people and not just one copier to each person, and create a business for myself that would continue to fund itself if I wasn't present. I wanted money to be generated without me having to be there. I was that specific in my vision. And the third thing is goal setting. It sounds so cliche, but it is so true. The two things I want to say about that is if you write your goals down, it makes all the difference. Harvard did a study in 1973. They took the graduating class and asked how many of them had goals. 100% of them had goals. Well, they asked how many had written down their goals upon graduation. Only 5% of the class had. In 1993, 20 years later, they followed up with the class. They found that the 5% that had written down their goals 20 years prior upon graduating were worth more financially than the other 95% of the class put together. So I have always written my goals down about what I wanted to achieve, and I really attribute a lot to that. And then aim high.